A Vort from the Rebbe on this week's Parshas, Tazria and Metzora. In the Parshas Tazria and Metzora, we learn about negoyim. There could be a nega on the person's skin, could be a nega on the person's clothes, could be a nega on the person's house. And we know that there's a special din by tzaras that it doesn't become tomei till the kohen says tomei. When he says tomei and it fits to all the conditions of a nega, then it becomes tomei. When it talks about the nega of a house, the pasuk says like this: the kohen has to come and see. After you see some sign that seems to be like a nega, you have to call the kohen. And the kohen has to come to look at it and to decide if it's tomei or not. So the pasuk says, "V'tziva hakohen ufinos habayis b'terem yovi hakohen liris nega." The kohen should say that to empty the house before he comes to see it. For the yit makol asher babayis, and the reason is because if he comes to see it, it might be tomei, and if he'll say tomei, everything in the house will become tomei. That's the din by a nega of a house, that if it's a nega, everything in the house becomes tomei. So he says, before I come, take out all the vessels so they shouldn't become tomei. And it's an interesting thing that Rebbe points out that this is something that we find dafke by the din of negoyim. We don't find other places that the Torah should tell us to do something to avoid that the tumah should affect the kelim in the house and it'll make some hardships. But here by nega, Torah says clearly that the kohen should tell him to take out everything. So if it's tomei, the kelim should not become tomei. So why is it dafka here that we have this kind of din? And the Rebbe explains that the whole thing of negoyim is a kindness of the Eibishter. We see an interesting thing here. The Rambam says, and I'll quote the Loshen, "Tzaras eisu pela hoye b'Yisrael." The whole idea of having tzaras was a sign and a wonder by Yidden, in order to warn them from Lashon Hara, which means the whole thing was a miracle. It was a miraculous thing, not a natural thing, the union of Nega. And the Eibishter made it special, made a special miracle. Things should happen in order to prevent the person from doing Lashon Hara, and if he did, he should do tshuva. And as the Rambam explains, but from the Gemara says, that these different levels of tzaras are all different ways to make a person do tshuva. And the Rambam says like this: if a person speaks Lashon Hara, etc., and he has to do tshuva, the Eibishter makes it so that his house should get a nega. And when he sees the nega, so it makes the person think about it, and he'll do tshuva. But if he doesn't do tshuva, then the house becomes tomei, and you have to knock down the whole house. And that should push a person to do tshuva. Then it says further, if that didn't work, he still didn't do tshuva, then the Eibishter will make a nega in his clothes. And then he'll realize it and he'll do tshuva. But if he doesn't, then it'll become tomei, and you'll have to destroy the clothes. You have to burn the clothes. That should make him do tshuva. If that doesn't, then the Eibishter makes a nega in the person's skin. And if that person nega, then it becomes very terrible, because by a nega in a person, if a person is a Metzora, he gets the worst punishment. We don't find this by any other tumas, that he has to say isolated outside the machna, etc., and that'll give him time to think, and then he'll do tshuva. So here we see that by tzaras, by negoyim, the Eibishter went out of his way to do things to cause a person to do tshuva, which is different than by other things. We know that if a person chas v'shalom does an aveira, the Eibishter could punish him. But it's not that the Eibishter made a miracle lechatchila that you should be able to do tshuva. And here he made lechatchila certain things that is not natural, and it should bring you to the tshuva. We don't find that by other things. So obviously, the union of negoyim is a great chesed of the Eibishter. Imagine he goes out of his way, pushes different levels in order for a person to do tshuva, and that's why he made this whole thing. So since this is a chesed of the Eibishter, so then the Eibishter made his chesed all the way. If this is the way the Eibishter shows his kindness, so the kindness goes all the way that the Eibishter wants to protect the kelim, the vessels of the house, from becoming tomei. And that's why he said that the kohen should say, take out the vessels, because if it will become tomei, they will become tomei. And the Eibishter wants to protect the tircha vayid, that he should have to do something about the kelim, and maybe even lose money, then he'll have to destroy some of the kelim, whatever it is. And that's all, only by tzaras we find that, because tzaras is the epitome of chesed of the Eibishter. Which means like this: even though on one hand tzaras is the worst, it says in Sefer Yetzirah, ein lamata nega. Nega is the worst. Nevertheless, there Hashem shown this kindness. That first of all, He's doing all kinds of things through a miracle to make you the tshuva. And also we see this, that He did things, told the Kohen to take out the kelim, to protect the kelim. Even the kelim should not become tomei at all. And that will help a Yid. When you realize as this is the chesed of the Eibishter, it'll help a Yid. All that gufa will help a Yid to do tshuva.